Good evening, race fans, and welcome to HBR24. Tonight we have a single lap of the UCI course in Richmond in reverse. We are going to see a race around a distance of 16.5 kilometres with around about 135 metres climbing. And the first 8 kilometres, if you've done the Richmond forward course, you'll know the hills are mainly at the end. So we're climbing fairly early on. We will see gradients of around about 11% max on the 23rd Street reverse climb and peaking at 22% on the Libby Hill reverse. So it's going to be pretty bouncy early on. So the first 8K are up and down before we do 8 kilometers on the flat. Now, Ed, I think personally I'd like to get the hills over.
Yeah, it's going to be a good run in on this this race. Kevin Rudd is going to be. I think he's going to be out there leading with Mason Butler, along with Greg Williams and Max Szymanski's jumped in here. So that should be a good group of four. I think that are going to lead this thing off along with Daniel Bennett. So, they start off on a downhill, but they hit that the first hill right at 2 kilometers. So we're going to see who can first jump up and see if any right off the until the last climb and last straight. Back to you, James.
Yeah, so I'm following Greg Williams tonight. So we think he'll be probably fairly well up for Bennett, but tonight is Rob Homer, and he's got 5 seconds before he needs to take. Let's go.
He's taken off out here, and Kevin's trying to match him. So we'll see how this plays out. I think Max's strategy here is just to rocket out of here and leave everybody behind. So this should be interesting.
Yeah, Greg's gone off, I was going to say fairly steadily. I mean, he's hanging on to sort of 400, 450 watts, so it's not that steady considering he's going downhill, but he's currently in 17th. I think he's probably, just about got the leaders in sight, but we are going to fly down a hill for the first bit. If anyone remembers doing the Richmond course normally, you've got the last sort of 1 or 2 kilometers as a big grind up a hill, so you've got a nice downhill to start with before we head towards the reverse 23rd Street climb. But yeah, Greg's definitely lost a front group, but literally anything can happen in these first 8K with all the ups and downs, so we'll see how it pans out. What's going on up front?
Well, we've got a pretty big group going on up here. Looks like almost 10 people have made the jump up. Kevin Rudd is up near the front with Max Szymanski. The C. Kitsero seems to be pretty strong. Chris Cooper's there. So big group, just heading to the bottom of the hill, and we'll see how this thing plays out when they start that climb. Back to you there, James.
I'm just going to switch over to Rob quickly, who's only about 4 or 5 seconds away from Greg Williams's group at the moment. Rob, how are you feeling?
Okay, at the minute, James. I'm hopefully going to hang with the group for a while. Keep my eye on them, see how strong they are. Breathing's heavy already, but feeling okay.
Good start. Well done, Rob. Greg is he's found a little bit of a group here. We are just about to swing a right, and I think the hills will start to join us fairly shortly. Yeah, we can see the big climbs coming up. But Ed, I'm guessing Kev and Dan are already flying up those hills.
Right, we're at about 6% right now. We've got Butler's out front with Kevin's on his wheel. Butler's pulling away. He's pulling about 9 watts a kilogram. He's attacking the hill. Kevin doesn't seem to be matching. C. McKay is running about 5 to 7 watts a kilogram. Kitsero is also. Kevin is just staying steady with these the 3 of these. We got a couple guys jumping out front, so let's see if he can match up and get back on the wheel. it looks like M. Butler is 6-7 seconds out in the front. So he's made a pretty good gap, and it's going to be tough to pick that back up. Back to you, James.
Yeah, so we've got an enormous group here now, seeing some familiar names. One of our friends from WKG, Torani Madsen, Dave Blackett's here as well. I've seen Lisa Jones. Lots of names we're very familiar with over this series that we've been covering. We're just hitting the 10% bit before we drop slightly, and we're just joining the flats again now, and then we'll take the 23rd Street descent, which if you've ridden it forwards, which I'm sure most of us have, it's pretty sharp and very short. But we'll see people flying. Oh, Dan Bennett's dropped out. Just saw him a complete standstill. So unfortunately, we've lost Dan. But we're just going through the banner now before we fly down the hill, and then we will take a short bit of respite before we head to the Libby Hill reverse, which has got one hell of a kick to it. What's going on up front?
Right, we just passed the 20% incline part. We're sitting at about 10% now, just starting to I wouldn't say crest this hill, but we're coming up on it. Kevin is currently in third, behind Chris McKay, and Mason Butler is still 3 seconds in front of us. So making up some time here, and I think these three will group up. We got Caleb Kitsero is about 4 seconds back, and Max is another 6, and after that, we got Chris Cooper at 13, and then the group behind. So this is a fast race, and these guys just crested the hill, and they'll be starting down the other side here shortly. James?
Yeah, so Greg's just gone over the really steep bit of this hill, and still lots of riders around him. Tor's just behind. Seeing who else we've got here. Not that many familiar names that I can see immediately, but I think once we get over these hills, and Greg's definitely over the worst of it now. Just not too far away from the Libby Hill banner. I'm fairly certain that after we get, so we've got the Libby Hill descent, and then we've got the long climb up towards the flats. But I think once we hit the flats, we'll start seeing some pretty large groups form. I think definitely here and possibly even up front, because I think once we get groups forming, they'll all just start bunching up. But we'll definitely see how this pans out. But Greg's just taking the last corner before we get to the banner, and we can not quite see it, but it must be just around this corner instead. And then we'll have the descent down Libby Hill, then a little bit of respite again. Here's the banner just now. A little bit of respite down the hill. Then we've got the long gradual climb in a couple of kilometers time. Ed, what's going on up front?
So we're down on the falls flat here. It's about a 2% up, 3% down, a little bit of bump here. We got the three lead riders, Kevin out in the lead with Mason Butler and Chris McKay, right there, the three of them. So they're running a little group. We lost Caleb and Chris Cooper, Max off the back, but they're still hanging in there quite a bit of ways in front of the Greg Williams group there. So right now we're just running the flat at about 0%. Kevin's putting out 96 RPM, so he's spinning this thing out, but he's up in the 300 plus watts a kilogram, 26 miles an hour. So sorry about the kilometers per hour thing, guys. Kevin's from the U.S., so we are from Canada, and that's close enough. So we're in the flats now, and looks like Kevin's out in front by 2 meters. So I don't know if he's going to pull away, but it seems like these guys are all going to stick together. All right, back to you, James.
Yeah, so we've just gone round the hairpin after the descent, and I think we've probably got about a kilometre before the gradual climb. Big group still. Dan Bennett's actually back on the bike and moving again, so he's at the front of this group. although he's pretty much taken off around about 5-6 watts a kilo, so he might be hoping to make some amends. But we've got a nice group of 5 or 6 here. Rob, I'm guessing you're over that latest climb and heading downhill. How's it feeling? By that silence, Rob may not be.
Sorry, I am here. I am here. Sorry, just couldn't get the phone unlocked. Feeling pretty good. Got over the hill okay. I've just ended up in no man's land though, so I think I might sit up and wait for this little group behind.
Well, you got one more hill to go, so see how you get on up that one, and then hopefully you can find some nice groups to hang on to.
Okie dokie, let's hope so.
Good luck, Rob. Ed, let's have a quick check again on the front.
Yeah, it looks like Chris McKay has made an attack out here on the flats. He's about 4 seconds in front of Mason Butler and Kevin Flood, who are both together. He's been averaging 4.7 watts per kilogram for this race, with Kevin at 4.1 and Mason at 3.8. So looks like Kevin and Mason Butler are hanging together, but Chris McKay is really moving out. He's at 7 seconds ahead, pushed in over 5 watts a kilogram, and these Kevin and Mason don't appear to be trying to match. So again, we're still in the flats. We're just starting to come up on the next final big hill push. So we're at 1%, and it should kick up here right around the corner. Back to you, James.
Yeah, so Greg's on the flat section now. Got a nice group. Got D Wade from the herd as well here. Tor from WKG looks like he's been dropped by about 30 seconds. So this group's definitely pushing. Greg's hanging on to about 3.1, 3.2 watts per kilo. So it's definitely hustling a bit. We've got the Dan Bennett group in front, about 9-10 seconds up the road, and then Chris Cooper's another sort of 20 seconds up front from there. And yeah, I'm pretty much holding steady at the moment. Can't be too far away from the gradual pull. I think it's probably sort of about 6-7% for about a kilometre. But here we are, 10 minutes into the race, 6.5k gone, 68 metres climbed. About half the climbing's done. Say actually almost exactly half the climbing's done. And we're just starting to see a hill a little bit in front of us now. Ed, they must be well onto the climb by now.
Right. They just finished the first blip at about 6%, and it kind of drops down, and now they're starting the second segment of that final hill. Kevin sitting in third. Mason Butler has taken off. He's 7 seconds ahead with Chris McKay at 20 seconds ahead. So Kevin is steadily pumping up this hill, but Chris is pushing over 6 watts a kilogram, and Mason's at 5, with Kevin pushing 4.5 to 5. So it doesn't look like he's going to make up much time. The other two are adding seconds to the spread here. So hopefully that Kevin, once he crests this hill, he'll be able to come over the top and maybe make up some time and catch up with these guys. Max is only 5 seconds back with Kittero. So they have a good chance at making a move on Kevin on this hill, depending on how they make the climb. Back to you, Jay.
Yeah, so Greg's just finished the first climbing section before it flattens out a little bit before we climb again. As you'd expect on the hill, got some quite a few more splits than we did have, say 1 or 2 minutes ago. Just touching on Dan Bennett, he's about 25 seconds up the road now. I'm holding about ridiculous numbers like 5.5, 6 watts per kilo. So after his technical, about 5 minutes back or so, he's definitely hustling to make up as many places as he can. He could well catch up to the Max Szymanski group, which is only about another 15 seconds up the road. But Greg's doing well, hanging on to about 3.3, 3.4 at the moment. And Yeah, it's just steady old climb. We're onto the last section of the hill before we reach the flats around, I think, probably about 8.5 kilometers, which is something in miles, which I'm sure Ed will be able to tell us right about now.
Yeah, we're just sitting about 5 miles in. We're up on the flat. It looks like Chris McKay, he's still really putting the power out at over 5 watts a kilogram. Mason Butler's running about 3.5 with Kevin at about 3.5, 4. He's sitting at 4 now. Kevin is 25 seconds behind Mason Butler and 50 seconds behind Chris McKay. So that's a big spread. I'm not sure he's going to be able to make that up, and I'm not sure he's really going to try. He's 7, 8 seconds behind in front of Szymanski and Kizero. So I'm sure he's watching the screen there and making sure that if nothing else, he matches watts per kilogram and keeps that distance there. Since we're on the flat here, it's going to be all about the power. Kevin has good overall power like Chris and Mason. So it's going to be a little bit tight trying to make up the time that we've got here on these guys, but he's still pumping hard at 3.5 to 4 watts a kilogram, so it's a good race. James?
Yeah, Greg's over the last bit of a ramp, and I think we're now down to pretty much 8 kilometers of flat. Just coming over the ridiculously short sprint of about 60 meters. I think watching a video earlier, I saw the PB at the time was around about 5.5 seconds. So if you blink, you will actually miss it. But Greg is currently with Jay Leonard, who he's been with for most of the climb. Looking like they're just about to group up with Eslauf, who we're actually viewing on one of our screens. Oh, actually, we were viewing on one of our screens. We switched back to Daniel for the meantime. But it looks like we're about to group up, or rather, Greg's about to group up with another group of 2 or 3, and that'll definitely help with the draft. Dan Bennett is just about to catch up with Kizero right up front. I think that's for 6th place or so. But we certainly won't see him on this screen. And in the meantime, Greg Williams and Leonard are just grouping up with this group of 3 I mentioned just now. 9.3k down, around about 7 to go. Well over halfway now. Expecting times of the leaders to be around about 25 minutes, maybe 26, 27. But certainly one of our shorter races. How's it looking up front?
Well, Kevin is firmly in 3rd place with Butler's 21 seconds ahead, and McKay has already spread the lead to a full minute. Szymanski is only 2 seconds back, so he's been pushing hard. I think he's trying to at least catch up with Kevin. Michael Bennett is right there at 2 seconds with Szymanski. So these 3 guys will probably group up, I imagine. And if nothing else, ride this in. Let's see, Bennett just went flying by at 6 watts a kilogram. Kevin's kicking up to, I don't know if he's going to match him or not, but he's pushing 5. Max is at 6, a little bit behind Kevin. So we got a little bit of group here. We'll see what they can do. It's about a 1% incline now, so not horrible. Looks like Daniel Bennett is stretching that lead. He's really pushing hard at over 5 watts a kilogram, so he's at plus 2 seconds now with Kevin Frudd in front of Max Szymanski by a second. And Kizero is still 17 seconds back. So back to you, James.
Yeah, so the grouping that we did have has split up a little bit. We've now got a group of 3 or 4 with Greg and Eslauf, Jay Leonard and B Bortoff. And then we've got a gap of around about 5 seconds back to G Broggy, and then about half a minute behind to the next riders. Looking up front, I can see Dan Bennett is properly going for it. Who knows when this who knows where this could possibly finish for him? But Greg's doing well. Got a group of 4 riders at the moment. coming up to 11 kilometers. I think we've only got about another 10 meters to climb, so that's pretty much all done, but it's going to be pretty flat from here on in. About 6K to go. And I think we're going to be pretty steady here. As a fifth rider just joins us, I think we're going to be, like I say, fairly steady towards the end, and it's looking like this group will probably end in the sprint finish. What's happening up front, Ed?
Right. So McKay is now at 1:06 ahead of everyone else. Daniel Bennett has just hit 12 watts a kilogram. He is riding right alongside Mason Butler, so they're holding steady together. While we have Kevin Frudd and Max Szymanski back 17 seconds. It looks like Daniel just put 5 seconds distance between him and Mason Butler, and he's really pushing hard. I don't know if he's going to be able to catch McKay up there, but he's certainly putting it out. He is technically our only A-Cat racer in the group, but yeah, he's really pushing it out. So Kevin currently is in 4th place, right alongside Max, and just 19 seconds behind Mason Butler, and about 22 seconds in front of Kizero, who's out there riding all by himself. James?
Yeah, so Greg's still in this group. I think now will be a good opportunity to quickly switch to our man on the course, Rob Homer. Rob, how's it going? Have you found some friends?
I found one, but it's a good one. He doesn't want me to lead him, so I'll sit here all day long.
Who's your friend?
Who is he?
Can you see his name?
An L. Orns. O-R-N-Z.
So we're making new friends today.
We certainly are. I'm grateful for his toe.
Very good. Well, we will. I think we'll probably catch up with you just at the end. So keep on hustling and good ride until the end of the race.
Cheers, James.
Just coming back to Greg, he's gone over 12K now. Got a group of 5. And as I mentioned earlier, I strongly expect it to stay as is until the end, when hopefully everything will explode. How about up front?
Well, I'll tell you, Chris McKay is still out there by 1:22. He's been averaging 4.9 watts per kilogram, with Daniel Bennett averaging 5 watts per kilogram for this race. And Daniel Bennett that's 350 watts average right now. So he's really putting it out. Kevin is still with Max, about 20 seconds back behind Mason Butler. And Daniel Bennett is at 31 seconds out. And again, McKay he continues to spread that lead out. It's 1:25 now. Kizero's back 25 seconds. With behind that is Chris Cooper at 1:13, Greg Williams at 1:19. So you got that group back there. Still a minute behind. I have a feeling that Max and Kevin are going to finish this thing off together. Maybe they'll catch up to Mason Butler. There's a shot there, but I don't think they're going to catch Daniel Bennett and certainly not Chris McKay. James?
The one thing that always makes me sort of laugh and cry about Daniel is that he and I are the same height at 6'2". He's 22 kilos lighter than me.
I think he's only 70 kilos. I call that skinny.
Yeah,
Kevin's sitting at 68. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think most people at 70 kilos at 6'2" probably call that skinny as well. But coming back to Greg, we are just catching on to Chris Cooper as well. So he's going to join this bunch to make it into a team of 6. So 13.6 down, not many to go at all. It must be pretty close to the finish at front.
Yeah, it looks like they've got about it looks like Chris has probably got about a kilometer to go. The rest of the guys about 1.5. Again, 1:25 ahead for McKay. Bennett's at 33 seconds ahead of everyone. Butler at 18, and you got Szymanski and Kevin Frudd together with a 30-second lead over Kizero and about 1.5 minutes over the big group back there. Again, these guys, Max and Kevin, are holding 3.5 to 4.5 at any given moment. Really not pushing to try and catch Mason Butler or anybody else. At this point, they probably resolve themselves to say, well, this is just dandy. We'll take 4th and 5th out of this thing. And I'm sure they're getting tired. Thankfully, it's pretty much a flat run, maybe a slight increase. We're at 1% right now, but fairly flat all the way to the end. So I think they're just going to spin this thing out. Kevin's been really running high RPM in the mid 90s, so that's good. Hopefully that'll save his legs, and we'll see what happens on the sprint, because both he and Max are pretty strong sprinters. So we'll see what they kick up at the end. James?
Yeah, so I make the course about 16.3. So your guys are pretty close to the end. I think Dan Bennett's at about 15.6, 15.7 at the moment. So he's got about 600 meters or so to go. And Kevin is at 15.5. So I think you're down to the last kilometre, Ed. So do you want to just call the final stages?
Yes, that's right. Okay, so we've got Max Szymanski kicking it in. Kevin's matching him up at 9 watts a kilogram. They both thrown down the bus, though it's not helping Kevin now. He's running 10 watts a kilogram, 8.5 right now, pushing it. Max is trying to match, but I don't think he's a match for Kevin. He backed off to about 2. Kevin's still pushing 5, so he's trying to make it into the lead of this. Looks like Chris, Daniel, and Mason have completed the race. Oh, something happened. Kevin has suddenly gone to coasting.
No, I think it's finished.
Oh, yeah. Geez, I'm sorry. I missed the end there. I was too busy watching another scrum. Like, what the heck? Okay, so because Max went flying by and he's still going. I'm not sure where Max is going, but Kevin finished that thing up at just about 50 seconds over.
Just to butt in quickly, yeah. Ed, we're just coming to the finish in this little group, and Greg's gone for a push. He's holding about 450, 470 watts. He's thrown a feather. Has he got any sprint left in him? Not sure. Leonard's gone, and Broggy's gone as well, and Greg's going to finish in 10th place behind those 2 riders I just mentioned. And if we just check our screens towards Mr. Homer, Mr. Homer's still got a couple of kilometres to go. Finish line will be on 16.1, and he's still having a great time with his newfound friend. But in terms of our other races that we've been following tonight, obviously Dan Bennett finished before Kevin and Greg tonight, but Rob's got 2K to go, not far at all. So he'll be over the line in the next 3 or 4 minutes as well. Rob, I know we said we wouldn't come back to you, but are you hanging on okay?
I'm loving the ride now. I love the flats. They always take it out of me being a bit on chubby side, but I just love drafting the horse out of people. It's the only way I can get around.
How do you feel? How do you feel about the sprint in 1.5 K's time?
I don't think I've got a sprint in me like Gordon. I don't think I'm going to gain anything by burning out on the sprint, unless I'm just showboating. But
hang on to his will until the last 100, and then just empty yourself and see how it goes.
You're just trying to wear me out for the next time we meet, aren't you? I know your game. I'll try my best, James.
Good luck. Not far to go. So, Mr. Finney, when are you planning on taking on this lovely course?
Well, now after looking at it, I think maybe in about 3-4 months, I might go after this thing. It's an ugly course. I tell you what, that's a lot of climbing. That 20% incline doesn't look overly attractive to someone who might be closer to the Clydesdale class. If we could throw one of those in there. But who knows? Maybe I'll jump in tomorrow. Maybe I'll jump in for us here on the west coast of the United States. Sunday morning's always an option too. pretty short course at least. It's brutal, but it makes up for that by being short, right, James? So that was a good race. Kevin, I kind of missed the finish there, but he came in ahead of Max by just under a second. So good finish. They really pushed it hard there, and I think everybody else is doing a great job. This was a push. Nice pick, James. Nice pick. I'm sure a few of them might be having some choice words for you on this one.
For a change. I think this is a great course. I think it's actually even better in reverse than it is forwards. I think the free hills at the start really helped to split the race up, separate the men from the boys. But meanwhile, Mr. Homer is in his last 300 meters. Come on, Rob, show us what you got. Oh, big numbers here, 900s. Rob's going to go flying by. Super sprint from Robert. And he made a friend tonight, but he might have just lost one as well. But he crosses the line in front of his newfound friend. Fantastic job. I suspect he probably can't talk to us just yet for probably quite a while. So we will leave him to get his breath back. And with that, I will say goodnight. Thank you very much to everyone that's joined us tonight. That is all from myself and Ed and HBR24. We will see you next week for HBR25. And who knows where it'll take us. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good night, James.